So if you're watching this video, you're interested in learning more about the Air Force Reserve MEPS processing. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna break down how the process works as far as what is a one-stop, the clothing attire, and then as well, how is it broken down based off of the 2 days when you are processing at MEPS. So starting with the clothing attire, the biggest thing a lot of your recruiters are going to tell you is to dress appropriately. Appropriately typically is going to be no jewelry whatsoever except your wedding band if you are married. That includes no piercings regardless of if they are not visible. Okay, the next thing is going to be a polo style shirt or a collar shirt that gives you a decent presentable look, as well as blue jeans or khakis. Okay, no yoga pants, no skinny jeans, none of that. Wear something like you're going to a job interview. All right, and then as well for your shoes, wear something comfortable as far as shoes, something you can slide in and out of, because that second day of your ASVAB processing, there will be an opportunity for you to take your shoes off as you're going to do some activities to help determine certain factors. Okay, and then with that being said as well, make sure you have no makeup, no fingernails are painted, no toenails are painted, none of that. Okay, the military entry process station wants the bare you, or the natural version of you. Okay, so what will happen is you, the day prior to you going to MEPS, you and your recruiter will have what's called an ASVAB brief, or an ASVAB brief. This is where he will let you know the items you need to take with you, the reporting location you need to go to, and as well the reporting time. Because if you miss that time, you'll be considered a no-show, and that can, prevent you from processing. Because typically most MEPS locations are going to want a letter on why you were a no-show. Oversleeping is not an excuse, and more than likely, if you do that, your recruiter is going to close you out and move on to the next member because you're not taking this process serious. So, with that being said, pay attention to what your recruiter tells you, because they are treating your recruiting process like a job interview as well. Once you go and take your ASVAB, you're going to report to the MEPS location, and what we'll do is you'll take a computer-based ASVAB test, which normally takes about 3 hours, but there is an opportunity for you to complete it early. Outside of that, you're going to take what's called a TAPAS, which is basically a personality test. Okay, that's probably going to take, it's 100 base questions, 100 some plus questions. So once you're done with the ASVAB, you'll roll right into that. You'll take the TAPAS, and then you're done. So the biggest thing I would like to tell a lot of people that are interested in pursuing the Air Force Reserve, when it comes to the TAPAS, don't just click through it, because this could potentially prevent you from doing certain jobs. All right. Next step is going to be, once you're done with the ASVAB, you're going to talk with your recruiter. He's going to let you know what your scores are. If you pass, you're good to go as far as continuing for the next day. If you did not pass the ASVAB, then that is the end of your process. You will not go to MEPS. Once you've had that conversation with your recruiter and you've been given a thumbs up as far as doing a great job on ASVAB, then the next step, he'll give you another briefing as far as your medical exam on what to do on the next day. This is normally the big one, because a lot of people are thinking when they go to take their medical exam, they're doing a physical fitness test. No, not to a certain extent. So when you're processing at MEPS, what will happen is the same spill your recruiter gave you about taking ASVAB will be the same about when you're taking your medical exam. Now, I'm gonna let it be up to your recruiters to give you that additional information as far as clothing attire when it comes to the MEPS processing for your medical exam. But once you report the MEPS, you'll, at that report time your recruiter gave you, you will go through and you'll sit through what's called a MEPS briefing. What this basically is doing is the MEPS personnel at the location is going to give you the rules of engagement, or basically the game plan of what is going to take place that day for those who are taking medical exam. Listen to the rules, follow the procedures. MEPS personnel will not give you any issues. All right, out of sight, out of mind, your whole MEPS process will be super simple. You'll go through various sections and through your MEPS processing. All right, you'll go through a vision section. This is where they're going to test your eyes as far as seeing if they can get your eyes corrected for 20/20, or if you wear glasses like I do, they're basically going to make sure that the current glasses you have are corrected up to that 20/20 vision, or they'll get your vision graded based off of where you're at. Vision plays a factor in certain jobs you can go into. Or if you're visually impaired, this could potentially disqualify you from joining the Air Force Reserve. The next thing you're going to do is check your depth perception. Make it super simple. It's like reading a 3D comic book without having 3D glasses. You're going to look with a proctor and basically let that proctor know which items are jumping out to you. After that, you're going to do a color vision test. This is going to help determine if you have color vision or not. Once you've completed once you completed that section in the vision test, you'll roll on into an audiogram, where basically they're going to check and see what level of hearing you have based off of the high or low frequencies you're able to hear. From there, you're going to do what's called the Underwear Olympics. This is where you and a bunch of other individuals based off of your gender will be in a room with other individuals from the MEPS locations of that same gender, and you're going to do everything from the duck walk, squatting, depending on what the proctor tells you to do. There's a list of a series of items they're going to have you go through, because what they're doing is to look and see if you have restrictions or limitations or anything in your range of movement or anything like that. All right, this is not where you're going to be doing push-ups, sit-ups, running or anything like that. All they're just looking to see is if you have the ability or any limitations in your range of movement. Once you're done with that, you'll sit down, you'll talk with one of the medical technicians at your MEPS location. The biggest thing I will give you as far as feedback on this process would be, do not treat the MEPS medical technicians as your primary care physician or your family care physician, okay? Do not bring up or disclose any new additional information your recruiter that you did not disclose with your recruiter, because bringing up any new business could potentially prolong or disqualify you from service. What happens is now with the new Genesis process, MEPS has the ability of viewing all your medical records. So once they've reviewed everything and you have been what's deemed authorized to physical, or if you already have been cleared to physical because they did a medical review, leave it to that. Once you start bringing up additional stuff, typically a lot of people bring up stuff that they've never been diagnosed for, then that makes their process a little bit longer, because now they have to go show proof that the thing they brought up never existed, which requires them to go gather additional documentation that doesn't exist. So you see how that process may go and become a more burden of a headache. So trust your recruiter as he gives you the briefing, but as well, don't treat these personnel like they're your medical physician, okay? The primary goal is to answer all the questions they ask you, so that way it can deem if you're medically qualified to join the military service. Once you've completed that process, that's it. You're done with MEPS. You should be fairly done like around lunchtime. So it's going to be an early morning, but you'll be done before, lunch. The biggest thing I could recommend a lot of people is listen to your recruiters, as these guys have been doing this thing for a minute, okay? Do not go to these forums or these Facebook groups and ask all these questions, because like I said, each MEPS operates differently. So your recruiter understands how your local MEPS work. You may ask another recruiter in another state, but their MEPS may operate a little bit more differently. So hopefully this video answers a lot of questions or gives you a better understanding of what the MEPS process is. If you are processing with the Air Force Reserve, that's as far as your process is going to be as far as with MEPS. Your enlistment and everything else, that will be coordinated with you and your recruiter as well, getting you prepared for the next steps in the process. If you want to learn more about the Air Force Reserve recruiting process, I do have a video in my channel. I put a link in the bio to that video as well. Once again, if you want to learn anything more about the Air Force Reserve, or if you have any topics you want me to discuss, please like, share, or comment, so that way I can make sure I'm giving y'all the proper information to help y'all make that decision prior to y'all joining the Air Force Reserve route. All right, once again, appreciate it. Y'all take it easy.